Back this past Sunday marked 5 years since a Baltimore police officer shot and killed 23-year-old Korryn Gaines. That same officer also shot and injured her 5-year-old son, Kodi. Korryn also has a daughter. She was only 1 at the time. Police officers went to Gaines' home to serve a warrant after she failed to appear on a traffic infraction case. The officer who killed her was never criminally prosecuted. The Gaines family attorney sued Baltimore County for a wrongful death. A jury awarded them $38 million in damages, but the verdict was overturned by a judge. The Gaines family successfully, though, appealed, but this weekend we learned they settled with Baltimore County for an undisclosed amount. Yesterday, the family and supporters held a rally honoring Korryn's life, calling for police reform, in particular an end to qualified immunity. I'm honored to be joined tonight by Rhonda Dormeus, Korryn Gaines' mother, and family attorney Wyndal Gordon. Welcome, both of you, tonight. Rhonda, I want to start with you. 5 years since your daughter was taken, the anniversary just passed of Korryn's death. I'm a mother. Can't imagine the pain of losing your child. Has time eased any of your pain?
You know what? Unfortunately, I wouldn't have recognized it if it had, because what I had to endure after going through everything properly and being able to obtain some semblance of justice through the judicial system, you know, that in itself just put a halt to my healing, because, I have to deal with the loss of my daughter every day. Every day that God allows me to wake up, I remember that I had my daughter here with me, and then all of a sudden she was gone. And then to have people constantly reminding me how she was taken from me and fighting against me to prevent me from getting, like I said, a semblance of justice, something that 6 jurors painstakingly, you know, thought about and processed and delivered on. So my healing, it has really been on a at a standstill. It really has.
I wonder what you make of this when we have seen too many of these police fatal these killings. It seems that the victims are taken from their families, but their memories are co-opted and taken from you too. Is there something you could tell us about your daughter to bring her to life for those of us who didn't know her? Who was she?
Well, she was my baby for one, and she was an outspoken young lady. She was well learned. She was a business owner. She owned property, and all of these things were accomplished. She was dead by 23, so a lot of those accomplishments came, early. And she was just loved. She was fun loving. She was an awesome mother, and I think that's one of the hardest pills to swallow with her not being here. Is for her children will never know how wonderful she was. She was actually a doting mother. She was a disciplinarian, but she really had focused on being a good parent. And so, it's just so many things I can bring up that can express the type of person she was. She was a swimmer. She was on the swim team. She played the clarinet in high school. And it's just so many things, that
Yeah, I
I
know.
think all of us, my whole family, miss.
Yeah, and I know the rally was also focused on getting justice for Korryn, but also celebrating her life. And I wonder if you feel that it flooded you with emotion, if it accomplished anything.
Well, the answer to both, yes. I was flooded. I was so emotional. My warrior lawyer can, definitely say that I was a mess, because this has been so long coming, to have, just people uplifting and really getting to understand what this case is about. At the rally, I stated that my daughter never got a chance to stand a trial. And the one who did stand a trial, he was found to have been improper in his actions. And that's what people don't understand. My daughter was not on trial. This officer,
Yeah.
Officer Royce Ruby Jr., was the one who had been found. Um, my lawyer always has to remember the statement. What's the term for the jurors to consider,
Wrongful
Mr.
death.
Gordon?
Wrongful
No,
death.
I'm talking about what they came up with about how careless and reckless he was. Was his first shot reckless? Of course, it was reckless
Objectively
because
objectively unreasonable. Objectively
right,
unreasonable.
right, because
Yeah.
he had the public believing that she aimed and shot a gun at him, but in everything that was uncovered showed that that wasn't possible.
Yeah, too often the
You
victims in
know,
these cases, we find they are put on trial. Jay Wyndal, and maybe you can help people at home understand this. We do know over the weekend, as we said, news that the Gaines family had settled with the county of Baltimore. That was made public. I know you can't give us the number. You can't talk about the money in the settlement. But for people watching tonight who may not be aware, can you give us background on the civil litigation in Korryn's case? Because there's the settlement, but it does not include her 5-year-old son. So explain what will happen with that.
Okay, so I expect that case to settle really soon. There was a 15-day jury trial. About the only thing we agreed upon at the outset of that trial, and throughout the entire trial, really, was that those 6 jurors who we had meticulously selected were the 6 people in the best position, most qualified to hear this case. And when they came up with their decision, just because the county did not like it, they went further with it and got the judge to hold on to a motion for an entire year and then grant their motion almost to the anniversary of the decision the following year. We appealed that decision, and as you said, we were successful in the Court of Special Appeals. The court reinstated the verdict, reinstated the award, however, with the caveat that they would remand the case to that very same judge to have him determine
Yeah.
whether or not the award was excessive or whether or not the county may be entitled to a new trial. So right then and there, we knew that we needed to take this case out of the hands of the judge and take this fight to the streets. And that's what we did. We enlisted a popular radio show host here by the name of Larry Young. We campaigned to put a team together to talk to elected officials, advocates, activists, civil rights organizations, and other attorneys. And we just came together, we put this team together, and then we marched into Johnny O's office, and he is the county executive. And we were like, okay, you know, the law says one thing, and we may have some challenges because there's some caps on damages, but there's a humanity aspect that you are missing, sir. And you are about to start your reelection campaign in September. And I'm going to tell you, if you try to hide behind these archaic uh, damages caps in the state of Maryland, that will not bode you well because we're going to be out there every day. We're going to be picketing. We're going to be bringing in national personalities to talk about you. We're going to make Towson, Maryland ground zero for police reform and accountability. And evidently our words rang true and they were very persuasive. And as a result, we got an award that exceeds the damages caps that they could have actually hidden behind had this case stayed in the hands of the courts and we continue to litigate this case in the dark. One of the best decisions we made was to bring this case to the public. And upon doing that, after fighting for 5 years, within 90 days, our case was settled. Now, with regard to Kodi's case is a little bit different. We settled for the entire case with the exception of Kodi. Kodi had a separate attorney who's a very capable attorney. His damages were obviously far more egregious than ours. So it's going to require a little more rolling up the sleeves and a little more hard work to come to a
Yeah.
settlement. But I expect that it will come. It will come probably within the next 30 days.
Yeah, you've been in the fight with this family for a long time. I know it
5 years.
continues. Perhaps it's a blueprint, the pressure inside and outside the courtroom to get justice for too many families out there. Rhonda, I want to know two things from you. First, I want to know how Kodi is doing. And also, I want to talk about the fatigue. You know, a mother's love has no limits, but the fatigue of the litigation, the fight for justice, what it's done to you in the midst of your grief.
well, the answer to the first question is Kodi is fine. His dad has him, and he's doing well outside of the trauma that has experienced. He's doing well. As to answer to your other question, I said yesterday at the rally that I feel like I've been dragged through glass. And the impact that it's had on my family, I have other children who aren't dealing with this well at all. So while dealing with my own grief, I have to still be able to contend with my children and help them through theirs. So it's just taking a toll on me. I feel that I have aged. I suffer with depression. I don't sleep well. Warrior Lawyer always teases me because he can call me anytime in the wee hours of the night to ask me a question or just share some information with me, and I'm up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. He can call me because I'm tossing and turning. I shared with him that yesterday after this rally, I went to sleep and had the best sleep that I have had in a long time. And it's not because necessarily because the damages have been, settled. It's because I don't have to look in the faces of, to me, what I call a bigots. Because this judge, Judge Mickey Norman, he imposed his will on our rights. Jurors have a right. If we request jurors to make a decision and we get the jurors to make a decision, and then the judge, who was not asked to decide, imposes his will and decides, no, you guys got it wrong. I mean, what are people who are asked to, sit on jurors to expect? People need to be concerned that that judges would even go that far.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
tragedy. It really is.
the weight on you is palpable tonight, and again, turning a critical eye on the justice system, dissecting it through that lens, necessary. We want the best for you, Rhonda Dormeus, mother of Korryn Gaines, Wyndal Gordon, the family attorney. Please continue to update us. So many of our viewers were with you tonight. Thanks so much.